Yeah, we met January or February, whatever year COVID started. Was it 2019 or
2020.
2020?
Yeah.
Yeah, January or February.
Yeah.
But you guys were working with somebody else before. Was that the
Yeah.
first website that came online?
That was not the
Or-
first one, but
Yeah.
through one of the manufacturers of the furnaces that we sell, they really, they kind of touted this marketing company. And, you asked me if I read books. I don't read books. I watch people, right? And the more you watch people, the more you realize they're all just sitting on phones, right? So, so digital marketing was starting to become a good idea. It really needed to be where people are.
Mhm.
And so we started with that company, and the first little bit was great, right? They did a great job. They said everything they said they were going to do, they did. We did see an increase in sales, right? So obviously the concept was sound. And then as we mentioned, it kind of drifted into the sunset. Their ideas had run out, and it was time to move on. So we started looking for somebody local. All right, they were located in a city far, far away, and we're local, right? We wanted to look local, and that's how we ended up coming across you and one of your competitors. And so then we started the interview process, and it was interesting. So
I just remember that because I remember who the competitor was. And I remember when you said you wanted to work with me, I was a bit surprised. But I was like also very curious what their price was. And you told me, one day I'll tell you. Do you want to tell me now? Was I super low?
no, they were cheaper actually. Right?
Okay.
They were cheaper, but there was excitement with you, right? There was personality. There was, let's make this work together, right? And for me, that's what it was about, was a partnership. We talked about it at lunch today about having difficult conversations, and we're not always going to align our ideas, right? So can we work with somebody who's going to listen to my ideas and explain to me why I'm wrong, right? And educate me, right? And that's where you came to the table. I mean, you were very direct, right? Fun, but direct. And that's exactly what I'm like. I like to have fun, but when it's time to get serious and get down to business, we do it, right? So yeah, you were not the cheapest, right? You were more expensive, but I like, value is not always the lowest cost, right? So, and we got great value, so.
I never really thought myself as being very direct, but I think somehow I've started to do that professionally. And maybe it's a character I've taken on professionally, but I recognize too over the years, like people don't want insecurity from the person they're paying for answers and solutions for, right? So I need to kind of make up my decision and like, this is where we're going based on experience and knowledge and stuff. But
well, you're a subject matter expert, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what we're doing.
That's
if we
right.
did, we'd be doing it ourselves.
Yeah.
And cheaper, right? Well, we don't. So, and then of course it was simple talk, right? I kind of had a concept of what SEO was. You took it one step further and explained the technical details behind it, which was fantastic for me. I read the owner's manual, right? So I understood exactly what we were getting and why, right? So, that's again, that's the kind of business partnership we were looking for.
Yeah.
So.
And I think too, for us, your approach, we were knee deep in the industry, and that's what our website, that's what our messaging, that's what everything was, and nobody knows anything about it. So when you introduced the whole idea of looking at it from a customer perspective who knows nothing about it, that really spun my head around, and I thought, that's brilliant, because we're touting off all the numbers and what it can do and how long and this, and it really means nothing to the average consumer. So when you did that flip of perspective for us, I thought, this is where it's going to work even better.
can you explain that perspective? Like, what did I tell, or what, I don't want to say tell you, or how did I explain it to you?
You
Or
didn't care
what did
what
I
we
show
sold.
you?
Yeah.
You didn't care. No, I mean, that's the reality, right? And you learn our business model, but the actual product we sold meant nothing to you.
Yeah.
It meant everything to us. We lived in that world, right? You understood heating and air conditioning as a homeowner, right? And what does it mean to you? It means when you're cold, you want an instant, company there to help, right? And so it was helping us look at it more like a consumer than a business, right? The people that are passionate about the the products we sell. So and instead of, you made us look at, let's look at the service you provide, not so much the product.
Yeah, it's an ugly brown or gray box in my basement.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't care what it looks like.
No.
People in your industry, they love those
Oh,
boxes. Plumbers love
Absolutely.
pipes.
look at,
Electricians love talking about
right?
wires. Like, I don't care. Like, what do we say? Like, we keep you cool in the summer and warm in the winter.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
That's it.
And that's what we need to tell people. Like, I don't care. I remember when I got my furnace quote from somebody else years ago, and it was 20 pages of numbers. And I was like, I called the guy, I'm like, what does this mean? Like, I don't want the most expensive one. I don't want the cheapest one. Will I be happy with this? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, great. I just want it to work.
English, please.
I don't know what any of this means. And like BTU, and I don't know what that stuff means. So,
And then our approach was, we had to be in everybody's face all the time, right?
Yeah.
This is who we are. This is what we do. You kind of change that mentality into just sit in the background until you're actually needed, and then make sure you're in their face. That was how I kind of
Yeah,
interpreted
that's a good way
SEO.
to- yeah.
Right? It's there. Nobody pays any attention to it. It's not proactive in any way, shape, or form, like from my standpoint. But the second you need to be found, you're found. And that was an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Right? Especially when against all the traditional marketing stuff I'd ever been taught.
yeah.
Right?
Well, what would happen normally if you reached out to an SEO agency and you're like, I want to dominate and I want to make more sales? They'd be like, yeah, do SEO. But like, doing SEO doesn't mean you're going to get more calls. It doesn't mean you're going to get more people searching for you. It doesn't mean you're going to get more sales. We just have to show up when someone searches for something
Yeah.
that we sell. And in our case, it's even more important because those people are usually in a panic, or they think that they're in a panic. I've had it happen where my propane was out. I was not working with British Empire Fuels. It was another company. And I woke up one morning and my kids were young, like 2 to 4 or something like that. And it was freezing in my house. I'm like, wow, it's really cold. I look at the thermostat, it's super low. Like, that shouldn't happen.
Right.
That's ridiculous. Like, to me, that's an emergency. I'm not looking around. I'm like basically searching, and we needed to show up when stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
So,
I'm in the industry and I get it, right? My daughter called me and said, it's cold, right? Her heat pump had failed, right? And I think it was Christmas Day, actually. Right? Of
Yeah.
course, the one time where it's not convenient to get somebody.
Yeah.
So I lived the panic. I work in the industry and I felt that panic. Oh man, we have to get heat right now.
Yeah.
Right? I had a couple connections. I'm happy to report I didn't have to call the technician out.
Yeah.
He was able to walk me through it, but that was it. That was a priority, right? And that's what we want to be when people need us, that we're there.
what problems were you trying to solve with marketing when you reached out to me?
Low sales.
Yeah.
Sluggish sales, right? That was really what it boiled down to. I mean, there's a lot of HVAC contractors in the area, and shockingly, we all sell heat and we all sell cooling. All right, so what we had to make ourselves different than everybody else. If you're going to get the sale, you better be different than somebody else, and that was the big challenge we wanted to dump on you was, prove to everybody in the area that we're different. So.
Yeah.
We focus so much on just being dominant on Google too.
Yeah.
And we still are, but that was the main focus.
Sure it was.
Like, there's lots of things that we could and should be doing, and we're doing them all now.
Yeah.
But at first, it's people have an emergency. Like, they're cold in the winter. They've got kids. They need someone there right away. We don't need to be on social media doing posts about charities that we're helping and all that other
Yeah.
type of nonsense. We need to show up when their furnace isn't working. So,
And because it was pandemic time, we figured we were going to get that jump on everybody else because we were banking on everybody not spending any excess and not taking that leap of faith. So I think that's worked out really well for us. I think it did work.
Well, in an operations world, it seems logical to cut your expenses when your sales are down, right? But if your sales are down, you need to do something to get those sales back. And I'm not a salesperson, so I wasn't going to go out and sell something. better find somebody else to get me the sales. Marketing was it. That was the easiest way, right? Because again, you don't know who you want to sell to. You know, like there's a lot of houses in Lindsay, but not everybody's in the market for a furnace. So how do you find those select few customers?
Can you describe how you feel now doing good marketing?
Overwhelmed some days. You know, when we get in those peak seasons, and it's like, oh man, I gotta fire Matt. This is not working out. No, you know, we're actually, you know, we found ourselves now starting to get a little more even in our off seasons, right? You know, there's definitely some work we have to do on our side still to make it, you know, plateaued right out, but like successful. You know, you knew right from the get-go, I wanted to measure success.
Yeah.
I wanted proof that what our money was being put into was working, and you were able to provide it. So, you know, right there, from whether we got the sale or not, that was the first home run. And then the second home run was seeing the increase in sales.
Yeah.
You know, it just worked. So how can you argue that?
Yeah.
What's it like working with me?
It's fun, right?
It is.
I asked this earlier, and
Yeah.
someone in the room laughed so hard that they had to put their hands over their face to stop themselves from laughing.
You know what?
And they're doing it again.
It's relaxed and it's fun, right? You know, work is work. We always have to go to work every day, right?
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't have fun doing what you're doing, you're not passionate about it, right? So you kind of displayed that passion right at the get-go when we first interviewed you, for lack of a better word, and it hasn't left in all those years.
Yes.
You get past the honeymoon period, you're still fun to work with, right? So, you know, we banter back and forth. We could joke around, you know, and then despite all that joking around, we're still getting things done on a serious level. So it's great. It's, you know, it's really painless. That's what it really boils down to, is like, you know, and here, it's your headache, Matt, you know, make it work for us. And then I can go away and work on something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I can add much more. That's right.
I always tell people the story of duct cleaning when we introduced that with email marketing and how quickly we were able to break even. Do you want to tell that story?
It would be better if you had the customer service rep tell the story. You know, new venture, a lot of apprehension in my mind, you know, because it has such a bad name, right? You know, we all get those telemarketer phone calls about duct cleaning, and so, but it's important to get, you know, that service in front of our customers too. You know, there is value added to it. It is an important aspect. So, you know, launching that email campaign was terrifying, and you know, proved to be successful. You know, when you're stressing out the customer service rep from the amount of immediate response, and I can't use the choice words she had, but every email you'd send out, I knew it. I would know it the second that she opened her email, because the responses were all in her inbox.
Yeah.
You know, our first year, you know, anytime you're doing a startup of any kind, you're expecting a loss. And our first year we made money, and not a lot, but you know, it was a great success. And it's all related to, you know, to the marketing, because it was that fast. Nobody had ever known us for duct cleaning.
Yeah.
And right out of the gate, it was a huge success.
Yeah. And that's a lot of thanks to Eric. He's not here, but he definitely did all the legwork. He learned everything he could about it, figured out a program, and got us outfitted and got us trained. And yeah, he was really a big part of that. Well, we kind of put it on him, but
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, you know, we were ready to launch it. You know, we had all our infrastructure in place. We had all our training done. We were going to provide a great service,
Yeah.
right? Fantastic. You got all that sitting in the yard. But if that truck never leaves because nobody knows about you, you know, and prior to that, we were getting maybe 1 or 2 phone calls a month. Do you do duct cleaning?
Yeah.
No, call these people, right? And hang up the phone. You get tired of saying no, but we had no idea we were going to have the phone ring that much. So
It was good too, because again, when Rob and Greg and I were doing things, and that was something on our wish list, we knew that it would be a really good fit and a really good side thing. So when it actually came and happened, I was thrilled. I thought, wow, that's been on the list for a while and it's going to come. So that was excellent.
I remember also being surprised how quickly it worked. I was like, this makes sense. Like, we're an established company. They know us for all this. They've worked with us. They're happy. It makes sense to email, tell them new, sparkly, shiny thing. Even I was like, that's amazing how quickly that worked.
Damn.
I remember, I thought you had said you expected to kind of break even over 12 months, and we did in 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, right out of the gate, it was like a gunshot. You know, we you know, you figured ramp up time. We launched in April, and we really thought it was going to take a while to get traction. And honestly, I thought that, you know, towards the fall would be duct cleaning time. You know, we have our delivery drivers involved, so we started getting all these duct cleaning requests, and meanwhile our drivers are still out delivering propane, right? So there was definitely some panic about the amount of business we got.
Yeah.
And you know, before we knew it, the first month was booked up solid, and then the second month, and then it's like, oh dear, we may have to turn the switch off here.
We
And
have, yeah.
we
We
have,
have.
yeah. And you know, and in the fall, you know, where I perceive duct cleaning time to be a fall thing before you start your furnace, oh no, it's all year long. It doesn't stop,
Yeah.
right? So you know, there's been campaigns, and like I said, that's customer service rep. She'd open her email after an email campaign had gone out, and just the choice words told me we were effective. There's more work.
It worked.
What's the next big thing? Can you talk about what the next new fun thing will be?
Well, we always have a running joke that there's no new big fun things, but it never seems to pan out. So I don't know. I guess we got our our new bulk plan all up and running. So in my eyes, I'd like to see where that takes us. Hopefully, way more propane customers and possibly a lot more income and flexibility with that. So I'd like to see in the next 2 years what happens with that. And
We've had a lot of projects in the go. We've had a
Yeah.
lot of growth.
yeah,
And you know, we joke about no new projects this year, and then every year there's a new
it's
project.
a new one.
So you know, I keep promising to not bring on any more projects. Maybe this year I'll keep my promise.
We'll see.
I had to tell Meg that a couple years ago. She's like, no new businesses, right? I'm like, no, we're good for a little bit.
Yeah.
Then every once in a while, I'm like, oh, I've got this idea. I'm like, oh, no, don't say it. Just don't.
Write it down for later.
Yeah. Yeah. Stay focused on this stuff. Cool. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
Yeah. That was painless. I feel like you were comfortable.
I was terrified.
You look great.
You didn't show
My
it.
back is soaked. Oh,
You
yeah.
kept your twiddling to a minimum.
Oh man, like it's just yeah. This is the longest I've sat in a long time. I don't sit this long. Right?
Oh, you
Yeah.
fooled me, so well done.